Welcome everybody. So yesterday I put up kind of a crazy video where I said, ask me your questions, and the response has been phenomenal. I had 155 comments in 24 hours. I've never had that much interaction from you guys in a day ever. So this is kind of crazy. I'm kind of nervous. I'm kind of super excited. I've been trying to avoid the questions, like reading them, because I don't want to think about them beforehand. I want them to be kind of on the fly. But my wife couldn't hold out last night, so she read through it and read a bunch of them to me, and ever since last night I can't stop thinking about them, like potential answers and all that. So I want to thank my wife for coming up with this idea for doing this Q&A session, because I think it's going to be excellent. And thank you guys. I mean, this is nuts. The response has been huge. So hopefully I will do you guys justice. Hopefully I don't bore you for like the next 6 hours or however long it takes. We're gonna be here for a while. So, you know, kick back, get a drink, and chill out. This might be a multi-part thing. Let me start my timer. Let's do it. Yeah, roll right into it. First question, Andrew, do you ever get ideas for a new knife that you really think is great, but you have no idea how to implement it? Yeah, sometimes. Like, for me, it's more the technical, like, how it works, lock mechanisms and stuff like that. And I'll think about, like, if I want to do a button lock, but how do I do it different than everybody else? And I don't know how to implement it. Yeah, of course, I think about that all the time. And then I get stuck on it, and I can't stop thinking about it for like 4 days. And then when I design it in CAD, it gets it out of my brain, and then I don't have to do it anymore. So that's that. Brooklyn Sheet Metal, John, you seem like a busy guy. How do you keep a good work-life balance between work and family, especially since you are no longer working in the garage? That's a very good question. Work-life balance is a tricky term. Some people say separate them, some people say integrate them. I've been both camps. I'm leaning more, like, it's separated now because we're working away from home. I'm a 15-minute drive away from home. I have my set hours. I'm at the shop from 9 to 5, which has been, it's been good for family time, because when I'm home, I can focus on my family, on the kids. I take weekends off. I have a pretty structured schedule. I still do like Instagram and email and stuff on my phone at home. But it's, you know, when I had the garage at home, I would work on the weekends. I'd work at night. I'd work like all the time because it was there and I could do it. And the bad thing was, it was so easy to be distracted. I'm very bad about being distracted. And like at home, when the shop was at home, I'd walk through to my office and the kitchen's right there, and I'm like, oh, let me get a bite to eat. Half an hour later, oh, my wife's here, let's talk to her. Play with my kids. It's so easy to get distracted, and having the shop here with less distractions, I mean different kind of distractions, is better. I think I'm more productive, and I think I'm closer with my family, even though we're separate. I think long term, I want to spend more time with my family, but we'll get to there. And as far as distractions, I mean, distractions are a choice. I read that in a great book called The One Thing by Gary Keller. Distraction is a choice. I need to like print that up and put it up on the wall, because like all this mess around my desk right now, I've got handles everywhere to remind myself, like, do this later, but it's a distraction because I know I have to do it later, but now it's just clutter and distraction. Anyway, next question, do you plan to have a more production line style of knife like Medford and Hinderer, or are you going to keep it more custom style, CNC, but hand finished style? Oh, I can't wait to see Eric's dog do some tricks on video. You hear that, Eric?
What's that?
They want to see your dog do tricks. More production line style of knife, yes and no. I don't want to do... I want to get more knives out the door, but they have to be on point quality, which keeps the value up there. I don't want to make a $200 knife, which I know there's some more questions later about that. I don't want 10 employees. I don't want to get to be big and just have kind of a pump them out production style. I want them to be exactly what they are right now, or better, forever. And the Norseman and the Rask, for that matter, they are a production line style of knife, but it's made by 2 guys in a shop that we built and grew ourselves. And I don't know, hopefully that answers that question. I don't aspire to be Hinderer or Chris Reeve or anything like that. I admire them, but I don't want to get to that level. Is there a new type of knives? That's a weird question. I'm going to skip that. Do you plan on doing a collab with ZT, Riate, whoever? No. ZT, I admire ZT. I think they're great. If they approach me, I'll think about it seriously. I'm not going to pursue it. Same thing with Spyderco, Benchmade, like whoever else does collaborations. I'm not going to pursue it. I'm happy with doing what we're doing right now. If they approach me, I'll think about it seriously. But I'm not, you know, that's not in the business that I'm in. I know a lot of guys like that, but that's okay. With all the many videos you're making on your knives, do you ever wonder if people are duplicating your design? I struggle with this because I share so much. I share the design, I share the process, I share the skill and the learning and the mistakes and all that, which is great. And I'm starting to see, it's been a few years now, I'm starting to see people take my designs and my theories and my things that, you know, I came up with, which I didn't really, I just saw it elsewhere and did it my own way. I'm starting to see it around, and there's a tiny part of me that's kind of offended. I'm like, hey, that's my idea. But on the other hand, I'm like, good for you. Like, that's amazing. I put it out there, I was willing to share it, and you were smart enough to implement it. I can't complain about that. That's amazing. That's a good job. I don't think anybody has copied my knife that I know of, and you know, if China comes out with copies, I would hate them, but I'd get over it. Whatever. I can't stop that. And even if somebody watched every one of my videos and copied every single thing we do, they don't have our brand. It's not a Grimsmo knife if they make it. And I think you guys, customers of mine, appreciate who we are, the story, the backstory. I mean, when you own a Grimsmo knife and you've seen some of the movies, you know what it is. You know, there's story, there's history, there's passion, there's Eric and I behind the knife. And that's what you're buying, not just a piece of metal. It's the story. What's your favorite anodizing color? By my buddy Jeff Dumas. Dumas? Sorry if I don't know that. Blue. Have you ever considered making a cheaper knife model with less expensive materials, aluminum or steel instead of titanium, and less handwork? For us who would love to have one of your knives but can't afford one. I have seriously considered it, making a $200 knife. I think I could pull it off. The problem with that is its volume gets huge. We'd be making more knives, we'd have more customers, we'd have more everything, and at the moment we can't deal with that. If we want to hire 5 guys, we could deal with that, and we could pump out thousands of knives a month, or a year, I mean. But that's not the goal right now, so we're going to stick with the high-end knives. We might make lower cost items, because I know you guys want to support us but don't want to spend $600 plus. So lower cost items. I want to make something that's $50, maybe $100. I don't know if we're going to do a pen or something like that, but it's on our minds, and I want to do it because I want people to be able to, well, support us if they want to, but don't have tons of money. What is your long-term, say 10-year plan or vision? By Aaron, DC Media. 10-year plan? I'm not a planner. I'm a pantser. I'm a seat of the pantser. I don't do 10-year plan. I mean, in 10 years, my kids are going to be teenagers. I want to be married to the same wife. I want to have my own house. I want to not worry about money anymore. That's my 10-year plan. After that, like other than that, business-wise, career-wise, I have no idea. If we'll still be doing Grimsmo knives, if we'll be on to the next thing, if we'll be making helicopters, I don't know. I don't know. Hi, greetings from Luxembourg. My question is, would you make a fixed blade with machine slabs, and if not, why? I don't like fixed blades. We made the tour, we made about 20 of them, 24. It was fine, but there wasn't much interest at the time. And Eric and I just don't use fixed blades. We don't hunt, we're not like military guys, we just don't use them, so. We like to make what we want to carry. That's why I made a knife in the first place, is I want to make the knife for me. Soul in Paracord says, why don't you make a giveaway for stickers or something very cool? You guys have been hanging around for a long time. As much as most people would love something from the Brothers Grimsmo, can't afford them. I myself am one of them. I can't afford a knife, but would love a sticker or something. Regards, Misha. P.S. I actually started making knives last year as well. Handmade, non-CNC. Good for you for making knives. Stickers, we do sell stickers on our website. Once we inventory more, maybe I'll be more free about giving them away, because they cost a little bit of money to make, but I'm happy to send them out. And as I said, with the cheaper, like $50 item or something, like we make a $600 knife. I can't give it to people. It's too expensive. Even giving it to family members, it's like, okay, I'll give it to my uncle, to my father-in-law, but I can't give it to a friend. I can't give it to a person. It's just too much money. You know, not often anyway. If I had a $50 item, I'd give it away all the time. So, you know, I kind of want to do that. How is the epoxy floor holding up? Any feedback on what you would do different by WidgetWorks Manufacturing? I've seen your comments a lot, so thank you. Epoxy floor is holding up great. There was a section that was super oily, if you remember from the shop tour video, or the pre-shop video. That is peeling up, but it's in a non-high use area, so no big deal. Other than that, like if we drop something heavy, it does chip the paint, and we kind of feel stupid after that, so we don't do it again. But other than that, like I think it worked really well. It brightens up the whole place, makes the place look legit. It's pretty easy to clean. The floor is very pitted all over, even after we fill all those cracks. So when you're sweeping, all the dirt goes into the pits. So I don't know if we should have like sealed the whole floor or used more epoxy. So it fills in all the cracks and all the pits and everything. I think that would have been wise. But I'm super happy with the epoxy. Had I done it again, or would I do it again, I would get the floors ground or sandblasted instead of all the crap we went through, well, Eric went through, pressure washing the floors. That took way too long. Get them sandblasted or ground. It's going to cost more money, but it's going to be worth it. Tough Thumbs, another knife maker for those of you who don't know. When are we going to collaborate on a design? I've been asked by a lot of people to do collaborations. Honestly, I'm not that interested in them at the moment because I spend so much time on my own crap. I can't imagine working with somebody else, trying to make their design or our design or whatever. I don't even have enough time to finish my own designs. However, it would be very interesting, and Jeff, Tough Thumbs, you would be on the maybe list. I don't mean to offend you, but there are very few people who I would put at the top of the list and say yes at the drop of a hat. And you'd be on the maybe list. It's a good thing. Let's see. Wilson 951. How many minutes of the day are your spindles turning? Do you have plans to keep them running longer, become more efficient, maximize production? We are not your typical machine shop. Typical machine shop has like a shop foreman and says, I don't see any green lights running. You know, I want spindles turning all the time. We don't have the infrastructure, the people to like keep stuff active all the time, and we haven't built our business to the point yet where we can stay that busy because we're still in R&D phase. We're just starting to get Norseman out the door. Rasks are just about done, and we're setting up for higher production. So, I mean, how many minutes of the day? Like 5%, 20% some days, 30% some days, but on like a weekly average it's probably like 5 or 10%. Because we're not in full production yet. Once we get into full production, obviously we're going to try to maximize that. We got a very nice Mori CNC mill that is very reliable and very amazing, and I want to keep that thing running. I want to do night runs. I want to come up with something that I can just put in, and when I go home, hit go, and then come back and they're done. Nico says, how do you decide what kind of stock to buy? Not for production, but for general purpose and R&D work. Mainly stock size, but also materials. Little confusing. Not for production, but for general purpose and R&D work. I mean, all of our knives are made from titanium and RWL34 stainless, so I just have lots of that. We can buy aluminum locally for the fixtures and little one-off stuff. Any steel, whatever. Our metal superstore is just like 5 minutes away. But how do you decide what kind of stock? I mean, you look at whatever your design is and you get something bigger. And you figure out, you know, if you have an 1/8 inch handle, you could buy 1/8 inch material unless you want to face both sides, and then you get one size thicker. So you just kind of figure out what size to buy and draw it up in CAD and figure out what you need. Have you considered making frame locks from steel? How do you know your detent ball inserts? How do you do your detent ball inserts and setting nowadays? Love your channel. Keep up the good work. From Tuhustaya. Frame locks from steel. A lot of guys are putting a steel insert in the end of the lock face on the frame lock so that it's steel on steel contact. A lot of guys are really geeking out about that. I have no problem with titanium on steel lockup. We've had no issues so far. I've found steel on steel to be sticky in other people's knives. That being said, I do want to try it one day and see what we can do with it. See if we can get it to do exactly what it should do and be smooth and not stick free and be stronger. Because theoretically it is stronger if you have a hardened lock face on a hardened blade. So one day I want to try it, but I haven't had the chance to try it yet. And how do you do your D10 ball setting nowadays? We precision drill the hole, 59 thou hole, and put a little chamfer on the top. The chamfer is important, not too big, not too small. We have a plate, it's actually a parallel, hardened steel parallel, that has a dimple machined in it at an exact depth. Put the ball in there, put the handle on top, take the arbor press, and press it down. And the dimple in the machined plate is the exact depth we need to keep the ball sticking out the exact depth we want. And we're very critical about that depth, that the ball sticks out, because that is what is key to our knives. I'm not going to tell you what that number is, but it is very critical. And you can play with it yourself. And next question. Harry Berto says, what do you use to keep rust on your machines at bay? With the Tormach mill, I've had a lot of rust problems because I was using a watery synthetic coolant that I used for like 2+ years, 3 years, and hated the whole time. It caused everything to rust, it caused paint to peel, it was bad stuff. I've since switched to Qualichem, to 251C, they also have 250 and 291 and things like that. Qualichem's amazing because it leaves everything oily so it never rusts. In the Mori, I blow off the puddles of oil, but I don't have to worry about rust at all. In the Tormach, since I put in Qualichem, I have a hose now, so I can hose down the whole machine, and I just leave it. I don't have to worry about it rusting, ever. It's a fantastic product, Qualichem. There's also like LPS and Bow Shield and things like that other people have used. You put that under your vices, kind of waxy stuff. That works good too. I don't have a rust problem anymore, and I'm very glad to say that. Chris Holland, do you worry about keeping up the payments on your new Mori, and did you get any kind of consideration from them? I don't know what consideration from them means, but do I worry about keeping up payments on the Mori? I do. At the moment, we're in R&D phase. We're not pumping knives out the door. Cash flow is getting tight, and we haven't had a problem yet. You know, we've been paying payments for 3 or 4 months now. It's gotten tight sometimes. I mean, payments are expensive, very expensive. I think I'll get to that in a few more comments. So I worry about it. Long term, I'm not going to worry about it because I know that once we start getting knives out the door, life is going to be good. Frederick says, when will we see the Norseman in production again? Well, the answer to that is now. I think we've got 8 new knives that have been on the website. They've already sold. 2 more going up right now, which are probably already sold by the time this video has gone up. And yeah, we're making Norseman on the Mori and on the Tormach lathe for all the round stuff. They are phenomenal. Best ever. We're up to 5. This is 509. We're a few higher than that now. We've got new pivot design. And I love it. I'm very happy with how the Norseman is turning out. Nico, what do you think about 3D printing? Not those plastic extruding toys. I'm talking about DMLS ones. Do you think they will ever replace machining? I don't know what DMLS means, but I've heard of SLS. I'm intrigued by 3D printing. At the home level, I'm talking about really the $150,000 Stratus whatever ones, but I think it's still young, but it is taking off exponentially. I was talking to John Saunders, and he thinks it's a fad, it's a toy, you know, there's no real useful application for it, but he hasn't looked into it very much. I have looked into it a lot. I think it's going to impact our lives the next 20 years immensely. I think it's going to change manufacturing immensely. It already is. Once they can make better parts, I mean, they're starting to make metal parts now in like titanium, stainless, whatever metal you want. I think resolution's going to go up, and I think costs are going to go down, and it's going to be crazy. It's going to be nuts. In 20 years, everybody's going to say, like everybody's going to know about 3D printing, and it's going to be a household item, maybe. That being said, will I get into it? I keep trying to convince myself to buy like a $5,000 printer, but I'm like, I just don't need it that much. It's too much money. It's another tool to keep busy, and I just don't need it. Jeff Freeman. I met him at Blade Show. Nice guy. He's got another knife company in the States somewhere, I don't know where. Business stuff. Do you keep track of raw material inventory and build assemblies on QuickBooks or whatever software, or do you just expense materials or put them toward cost of goods sold or other method? Thanks, John. Keep up the great work. Good question, Jeff. My answer is I don't do very much of that. I am a technical person, but I'm not a accounting kind of person. Accounting is one of my weakest traits. I try to keep inventory, like I've been keeping my end mills inventoried lately. But I'm not very good about inventory. I don't put a lot of effort into QuickBooks and keeping everything, tabbed, organized and stuff. I should be better at it, but it's not my high priority. Usually if I think I'm going low, I'll walk around and see what I need, and then it's not the most efficient method. Eventually we want to streamline it so that we have like minimum and maximum quantities. Once we get down to 5 of this end mill, order 10 more kind of thing. Yeah, that's my answer for that. Silverado says, hey John, have you ever thought about making a slip joint knife? I have thought about it, but not seriously. I don't think it'll be high on my priority list. Drew Johnson, what is your favorite knife that you haven't designed? Favorite knife I haven't designed? My Integral, but I have designed it. Favorite knife I haven't designed? It must be somebody else's knife or some idea in my head. I don't know. I see other guys making crazy cool knives. GTC makes some cool stuff. Dmitry Sinkovich makes some cool stuff. And all the art knives, like Des Horn in South Africa, makes some really cool art knives. And there's other guys. I'm intrigued by art knives. If you don't know what that is, just search art knife on Google Images, and they're like $5,000-$10,000 for some of these. They're crazy, and the detail and intricacy. I mean, it's jewelry, and I like that. I don't know if I need to do it, but I like it. Lee Lim says, anything other than knives that you are interested in designing or making? I think about it all the time. I try to figure out that $50 item that I can make nonstop. Haven't come up with it yet. I've got ideas, but nothing that jumps out at me. Long term, are we going to get into other markets? I don't know, maybe. At the moment, I'm just concentrating on the now and the future that now provides. So getting Norseman streamlined, getting Rask knives streamlined, getting the process down so that we can add another model and use the same process very easily. So that's my answer for that. What is your opinion on EDM and wire EDM specifically? That's where you have, well, a straight wire. Actually, these were EDM. A straight wire that can cut out parts like water jet kind of, but very accurately, very precision, slow, but very good. I am a fan of EDM. I don't use any of it. I think it's cool because, like, I've heard of guys stacking handles or blades up 10 high, sandwich it together, EDM them apart, and when you get that height, you maximize the time, right? It's slow, but it's good. I think it's good. It's accurate. I think it's expensive. It's an expensive process to pay for. Machines are expensive unless you get an old one, but old ones hold their tolerance very well. I don't know. I'm not interested in getting an EDM anytime soon, or using it for much, really. Swag Magician. Would you ever do a Grimsmo Bally song? That would be awesome. Bally song is a butterfly knife. Not interested, really. We have one Benchmade 51, I think it's called. It's a toy. I think it would be cool if we made one, but it's not a priority. So I don't think it's going to happen. Butterfly Knife 1, next question. Are you ever going to machine a bottle cap opener anytime soon? Nope. Too played out. Too many people have done it. I don't want to be at the end of that bandwagon. So no. Rick Shuri James, what was the total cost of the Mori and all of the tooling? This is a big one, and I saw this come up. I tried not to look at the comments, but I saw this come up a few times. DMG Mori Dura Vertical 5100, 2014 model. It's a badass machine. It's very expensive. Total cost shipped here with Sandvik tooling package with the chip conveyor was about $145,000 US. And right now we're suffering through a terrible conversion rate, like exchange rate to Canadian dollars. So the price was 178,000 Canadian dollars. That's what our lease, lease is for. Plus I had to buy the orange vices myself, plus, because they wouldn't finance it, plus I had to get a whole bunch of other stuff. It's a buttload of money. I'm hesitant sharing the cost. I don't know why I'm private like that, but yeah, $150,000 is a buttload of money. It was a big decision for us. My brother, my wife, and I, we all talked about it seriously. You know, we could have gotten something else, but I have a certain standard that I want to hold with my product, and I don't want to dick around with old machinery. I wanted the best, and Moriseki might not be the best in the world, but they are damn well up there. And the Dura Vertical especially is touted as being one of the most reliable machines ever. So that's why it's a buttload of money. I mean, our monthly payments, we're paying $3,700 a month Canadian, so about $3,000 or whatever US in payments. That's a lot of money. And shop rent is like $1,300. So I mean, being here costs us $5,000 a month, whereas being at our old shop cost us nothing. That's a big deal. It's kind of scary. I got goosebumps, you know, saying it out loud. It's a lot of money. $5,000 a month to have a machine and a space to put it. Now, you can do it way cheaper. You can buy a Fidal, a 1998 Fidal for $5,000. But we chose to do it this way. I have no regrets. I have hesitations. You know, I'm nervous. I don't know. But we're going to crush it. We're going to pull it off. I have no fears about that. Yeah, it's kind of a weird topic to talk about. Money. I don't like talking about money. Let's move on, because I'm sure it'll come up again. Enter name here says, don't know if this is too personal, however, I'm rather curious, is your business fiscally stable? I'm not an accountant. I can't answer that, you know, from a technical standpoint, from an accountant standpoint, fiscally stable. We can pay the bills, we can pay ourselves most of the time, we can buy materials when we need to most of the time, and we're just getting started. We are leveling up, and this whole process cost a lot of money. It blew through all the money that we had, and now we get knives out the door and we start climbing back up again, but now we're going to climb up faster and faster and faster than ever. And I have this weird hesitation to like talk about money because I personally have trouble buying a $600 knife, yet I'm selling them left and right. So there's a part of me that like feels bad to charge so much, but it's what it's worth. So I feel weird talking to my customers. You know, to business people it's one thing, but to my customers about money and, you know, saying that I want to make a profit and saying that I want to be super successful and make lots of money, but that's what a business is for. So I feel weird talking to the customers about that. And it doesn't come out very much, but we'll see what else comes up here. Are we fiscally stable? We're getting by, and it's going to get better. Finn Custom Knives, Paul Finn, my buddy. If you had to do it again, would you buy the same tumbler? In my shop tour video recently, we talked about the tumbler, the Northern Tool tumbler that we have. Yes, it's an $800 tumbler. I think it's the best deal on the market for that size of tumbler. it's Chinese made, and our axle shaft snapped in half, so I had to make a new one. I have a video on that, which sucked, but I haven't heard of anybody else having that problem. Would I buy it again? Yeah. Do I recommend it for you? Yeah. Unless you can get a used American-made one, which should be a little bit better. Because mine broke because of a crappy design feature. I like it. It's loud, but it works very well. And we want to get a bigger, quieter one, which I know is kind of backwards, but we saw one at a tool show that was, it's $8,000 instead of $800, but it's so quiet, and I want it. Eddie Bones 13. Hey John, I was wondering if you could show some of your offerings for 2016 on your channel. I'm really excited to see what you got brewing, so to say. LOL. I also wanted to know where I can get one of your older models for a decent price. Thank you so much. Keep up the great work. I'm a huge fan of your channel and can't wait to get one of your knives in hand. 2016 offerings, I mean, we're making Rask knives. That is literally all we have planned for 2016. If we have time, I really want to tackle my Integral project from like 3 years ago, because I actually bought, well, I bought Sandvik tooling that will help me make the Integral. As far as other stuff, I want to get to the point where we're pumping out knives every day. And we're feeding demand, and we're growing, and we're developing new customers. That's my plan for 2016. I want to kill it on social, YouTube, Instagram. I want to interact with my customers more. I'm super duper excited for Blade Show. That's my plan. And where can I get one of your older knives for a decent price? I don't know about a decent price. I've been looking recently. I sell them for between $500 and $600, and they routinely resell for $850, which I think is insane. But whatever, that's the market. That's the secondhand market. Instagram is the place. You search for the knife sale hashtag. Forums. I don't really go on the forums anymore, so I don't know. But yeah, that's where you go for that. Do you plan on expanding the product line with more affordable knives? Maybe with ground blades instead of machine ones, aluminum handles, and less customization options. Like I said, I've thought about a $200 knife. I don't think it fits our business model right now. It's a noble concept. Part of me wants to do it, but I just don't think it's going to happen. We don't have the infrastructure to make that many more knives. I mean, if they're simpler, they'll be faster to make, but then we have more customers, more shipping to deal with, and the volume is not what we want right now. Maybe in a year or two we'll think about it. It's on my mind, guys, because I know a lot of you want to support me for $200, $300. Can't support me for $600. I appreciate that. I totally get it. And I feel bad. Seriously, sometimes I feel bad charging $600. But guys are throwing money at me, so I am not going to lower my prices. That's the business side of me coming out, not the knife salesman. John Byrne says, what has been your worst mess up on a project of yours? Whether it's messing up a run of parts or damaging an expensive piece of machinery, etc. Keep up the good work, and more videos to come, hopefully. Biggest mess up. I mess up all the time. Mistakes are how you learn. You've seen that through my channel before. I used to do big pallets, like the whole size of my Tormach, with 18 handles or 12 blades in a different setup. I have screwed up many pallets of parts with one piece, like one number is wrong in the code that I changed. That sucks. But you move forward, you do it again, and hopefully you don't mess up the next one. So ruining whole batches of parts sucks, which is why we're trying to get away from batch work and move more into one-piece flow, where we're making smaller batches of parts, but quicker and more efficiently. I haven't really damaged any expensive piece of equipment. I've crashed the Mori a few times, but it's got load sensors that stalls it out. Like on the Z, I got a tool offset wrong and it stopped, thank goodness, didn't break anything. So yeah, I mean, I mess up all the time, but I don't think about the expense. You know, I've got probably 30 sets of handles from recently that I've messed up, or R&D. And it's expensive, but that's part of the process. I will not settle for anything less than perfect. Do you recommend Tormach machines to beginner machinists that want to produce many parts, lots of pens, let's say? Or do you think a retrofit old machine would do a better job? Do you plan to visit Germany like John Saunders? If you could do a fan meetup in Munich, that would be fun. Thanks for the great videos, by the way. I know it's not your job to film everything, but the audience really appreciates it, I think. Please don't forget about us here on YouTube. I won't forget about you guys. Tormach machines are awesome. That's my answer. They're awesome. Is it as good as a 20-year-old used machine that costs the same dollars? Depends on the level of machine. A 20-year-old Moriseki is a badass machine. And if you can get it for the cost of a new Tormach, well, it's a better machine. No doubt about it. Tormach is not trying to compete with used machinery. That's a stupid comparison. Tormach is trying to make a brand new machine that is really good. It's not great, it is really good. They are entry level, they are starting businesses, they want to see people grow and grow to better machinery, which we've done. Had the Tormach for almost 4 years. I wouldn't be here today if I didn't have that and learn on it and cut my teeth on it. Do I recommend the Tormach machines? Yes, I think they're getting better. I think Pathpilot was the smartest decision they've ever made because Mach 3 blows donkey butt. Pathpilot is really good and it's constantly evolving. I do recommend Tormach machines. They're not high production machines, which is one of the reasons why I got the Mori. If you want to make thousands of pens a month, the Tormach lathe is not the best choice. If you want to do prototyping, if you want to make 100 pens a month, then it's fine. But if you really want to step it up and you want to bust out perfect parts all day long, I mean, the Tormach can do it, but it just does it slower and to a lesser degree than a professional machine. Especially with lathes. The Tormach lathe is not a speedy demon. It's kind of slow. That being said, I am making parts, tiny intricate parts, and I'm holding 1/10 tolerance, and it's amazing. But yeah, I don't know. If you want to make tons of parts, you need a really good fast machine. That's the end of story. That being said, I'm talking like thousands of parts a month. I've made 500 knives on the Tormach with my intricate style of, anal retentive R&D. And they're great, great knives. The ones coming off the Mori are slightly better, but we got the process so dialed on the Tormach that they were fantastic knives. And a customer nowadays holding a Tormach Norseman, like a recent Tormach Norseman, and a new Mori Norseman, might not be able to tell the difference. I can tell because I'm super precise, but yeah, we were able to make excellent parts on the Tormach. I do recommend the machines. You have to do a cost-benefit analysis in your head. If you want a new machine from a company that will support you, Tormach is good. If you want to buy a 20-year-old used machine, they can be great, but they can also be a basket case of problems. Good luck trying to contact the company to support a 20-year-old machine. Depends on the company. I hope that answers your question. I am a big fan of Tormach. I love the company. I love the product. I like the product a lot. I can't say I love the product, but I like it a lot. It is what it is. It's an entry-level machine. And once I got to the point of being a production house, I grew out of it. I still have it. I used it yesterday. I made these etching plugs, which turned out awesome. So I still like it. I'm still going to use it. Maybe not for high production, but I'm still going to use it. I like it. Blech. Blech. Talking a lot. If you're wondering what that noise is, Eric is sharpening a knife up in the corner. Okay, X19 Freak. Sounds familiar. Maybe I've seen your name before. Awesome idea, John. Since you've already started from zero, this may be an easy one. If you were to start from zero again, where would you start, and what would you do differently, if anything? What would be your primary focus? If I were to start from zero today, it would be a hell of a lot easier because, I mean, it's hard to say where my exact starting point was. There's some story that builds up. But nowadays, Autodesk Fusion 360 is insane. I didn't have that back then. I had to get SolidWorks and learn it myself, and it took me years to do that and become proficient at it. Nowadays, there's YouTube videos how to do everything, not just my channel, but like Autodesk themselves are putting out YouTube videos on how to do Fusion, like intricately, and they're always updating it. So Fusion 360 is nuts. You know, Tormach, when I started, I think Tormach started around 2006. I started machining around 2008, 2009. So they were still a young company. I knew of them, but I was way too poor to get into their stuff. They have become an established company in the workforce right now. And knowledge is so much easier and cheaper and freer, and it would be easier if I started it now. You guys have it easy. You know, when John Saunders and I started in our tiny garages or in his apartment with our tiny little TAG or X2 mills or whatever, you know, we had to build that all ourselves. If you want to retrofit, let's say a Grizzly Geo 704, seems very popular. You can buy a kit on eBay for how to do that. I had to make it myself. It took me like 2 months. And I needed the mill to make the mill parts to make it CNC. If I were to do it again, I would focus on... See, I learned CNC because of CNC. I wanted to make car parts, but I loved CNC, so it took me... Like, I was in no rush. I was kind of rushed, I guess. Trying to start a business, but I learned CNC for the sake of CNC. If you took that out, if you had a product in mind, and you're like, my goal is to make this product, not to be a well-versed machinist, that's different. So figure out what your goal is if you want to start. If I had knives, I don't know, if I had a knife goal when I started before knives, I would have been here a lot sooner. Okay, what else would I do if I were to start again? I think I did it right with knives. I found out about custom knives about 4 years ago, 2011 I think it was. A month and a half later, I'm on a plane to Las Vegas to go to the USN gathering. I think that's the right move. That was probably the smartest early decision I ever made. Because going to a show is like crack. It's like, whoa! And you just learn, and you don't be afraid to talk to people. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to interact with everybody, both at the show and like on Instagram and YouTube and whatever. Learn. Yeah, that's good. Good enough. Chad Troyer, what is the average build time for a knife or a batch of knives? I have a general idea in my head. I'm not comfortable sharing how long it takes us to make a knife because that's kind of my personal like thing. You know, that's our profit margins. I don't need to share our profit margins. It's faster to make a knife on CNC equipment than it is to make it by hand, I think. But the setup time is immense. Like the R&D, I mean, we've been in this shop for like 6 months, and we've gotten maybe 20 knives out the door in the past 6 months, maybe 30, which is nothing for us. Like we used to do 30 a month at best, 20 a month at best. So 30 knives in 6 months is nothing. And all I've been doing is R&D. So a handmade knife maker doesn't have to do that. They just pick up a piece of steel, they see the knife inside of it, and they grind away what's not a knife. So build time, I'm not going to share the time. Eric Torrey says, you've said in the past that you are more into machining than into knives. Very true. You guys remember everything. What are some other product ideas that you are interested in? I'm very interested in getting into machining, but not sure. Not sure I've got the eye for knife design. Thanks for all the great vids. Keep them coming as you can. Cheers from the other side of the country. Yeah, at the moment my business is all about knife making. However, I'm not much of a knife collector, I gotta say. I have a pitiful knife collection. I don't have any other custom knives. Because I would rather buy tools than buy knives. That's just me. As far as other products that I want to make, I don't know. I try not to think about it too much because it's a distraction. I have so much to think about, and I'm probably overthinking everything. But with what I'm currently working on, that I try very hard to not be distracted with other product ideas. You know, I could make anything. I have 2 CNC mills, I have a CNC lathe and a surface grinder, and pretty much anything, and access to water jet laser, whatever I want. I kind of want to make a pen, but there's a lot of guys making pens, like great pens, and I don't know. I don't delude myself to think I'm going to come up with a better pen. So I don't know. I'm very focused on what we're doing right now. Not so much the next big thing, because the next big thing distracts the heck out of me. That being said, I do have an open mind, and I know that down the road there will be other things, and I'm gearing up for that. I just don't have it in mind yet. Does that kind of make sense? And for those of you who maybe don't know what you want to make, think about what could you talk about to your friends on a Saturday night all night. I've heard that said before. What can you talk about freely? What do you kind of know about? What industry? What, is it sports? Is it dives? Is it skiing? I don't know. Cars, motorcycles? Like, what is your thing? What do you know already? What are you already involved in? If you can make products for that, you're already way ahead of the game. I've tried to get into other businesses that I wasn't interested in. Like, for a while I did custom anodizing on paintball guns. I was not into paintball. I went a couple times, loved it, but it didn't grab me. It didn't make me want to go. So there's got to be something that you're interested in and you find fascinating. See, you got to find what you think is fascinating about that industry or about that product or whatever, and that's what's going to grip you. Don't make something that you're not proud of. I'm proud like crazy for my knives, and you need that to keep the passion, keep it alive, because it can be a hard business. Akeem 1428, I've seen that name a lot. Do's and don'ts for a new small business, and what type of first steps would they be for a new guy looking into CNC machining? Thanks, John. Do's and don'ts for a new small business. Find a customer base before your product. Interact with customers before you have a finished product to sell. The great Peter Diamandis says that if you're not ashamed of your prototype, you launched way too late. And I kind of made that mistake with the Rask. It had to be perfect, and then I told everybody. It worked out, but I should have brought people along in the process. I don't know why I was so afraid to share it. All of a sudden I came out with this finished knife and said, give me money. It worked, but no, you should share the process. People like a story. They don't want to just see, oh, there's another product. If you can build a story into your thing, like I did with Knife Making Tuesdays, by chance, it wasn't on purpose. It just happened and then it grew. That is an excellent do. People love a great old American story, or Canadian in our case. Don't, I see too many people spending way too much time, I mean myself included, but let me explain, on designing the product, spending way too much money, getting it patented, and not telling a soul about it. And same thing goes for any business. And then one day you've spent all your money and you open up your doors and nobody comes in. That's not the way to run a business nowadays. With social being crazy, you need to develop hype. You need to develop hustle. You need to share your message and your story and whatever it is you're trying to do. Even if you don't have the product yet, start sharing that online, however you are most comfortable with, whether it's I'm YouTube and Instagram, that's my thing. And I don't know, don't hide. Be the brand. Another good thing is I spent a lot of years trying to come up with businesses and trying to name them, and you come up with these weird names. Like I had a web design business that I called Troll Media because I'm Norwegian. I thought it was funny. It's okay, but I've found time and time again that the human named brand, Grimsmo Knives, it's a connection. You trust it that much more than a name that doesn't make sense. I don't know, Wolf's Den machine, or Wolf's Den knives or something like that. I made that up, but I don't know. I'm a big fan of naming your business, naming your product with something that means something, because it ties into the whole story. Open yourself up to your customers, to the world, because they want to know who you are. There's so many businesses out there that are just a shadow. And yeah, they're kind of successful, but once I turned the camera around, this was like 2009 or something, I used to film just the little crap I was working on. Once I turned the camera around, I was like, hi, I'm John. This is weird, but we're going to do it anyway. That was a huge, huge turning point for me. Like, probably the defining moment of my entrepreneurial career. I went from 50 YouTube subscribers to, like, all of a sudden I got up to 100 pretty quick, and then 150, and then 200. Holy crap. Then I hit 500, and I was like, oh my god. Then I hit 1,000, and like in a year or whatever it took, but it went from no growth to like growth. And people start interacting because they see a face. They don't just see hands and junk. And people like connecting with people. That's why social media works so well, is because you connect. So be yourself. Find out exactly who you are, exactly what you like to do. Be that person. That's my dues for new business. Hope it works. Eric Torrey says, didn't we already have that name? Would making a knife mid-tech or fully produced by another shop, like Millet Knives or otherwise, big fan of Millet Knives, I think they're crushing it, allow you to sell a knife cheaper and at higher volumes, or does the math work out better to just do everything in-house? What other issues to see with mid-tech productions? I gotta admit, I don't have any finished Rask knives here, but no. We've been working on the Rask for almost a year. Like last February 2015 is when we first came up with it. I challenged Eric to start drawing knives. I can't draw for crap. So Eric drew out some designs, and I picked out the one that I liked the most, and we went with it, and that became the Rask. He named it as well. The original plan was to simplify our knives, outsource this whole knife, sell it for $400, and profit. Once I started to look into the costs, it is cost effective to have someone else make your knife for you. Be very picky about who you choose to do it, because I've heard way too many horror stories. A machine shop that has good equipment can still make crappy parts. It is all about the operator. The Tormach machine is entry-level equipment, let's say. With a good operator, I can make amazing parts. I can also make terrible parts on my Mori. It's all about the operator, the programmer, the way it's set up, the way it's made, the way it's designed, the way it's everything. So be very picky about who you choose. I think Millet Knives knows their stuff. They used to work for Chris Reeve Knives. They know their stuff. There's other companies too. So yeah, I wanted to get the Rask outsourced. I started to talk to these companies, not Millet Knives yet. I didn't know about them yet. Other companies, and the cost was higher than I was expecting, but it still works out bottom line wise. But then I started thinking, like, here I am spending hundreds of hours designing it in CAD, figuring out some of the cam to save them time. And I'm like, I don't know if I can trust people to make this knife for me. My thing is details. And I would then not be a part of the process of ensuring that those details are perfect. And once that gripped me, I was like, I can't do that. I can't let somebody else be in charge of my product. It's not going to be good enough. And if I get a batch of 100 knives back or 200 knives back, and there's, like, I can tell in the profile of the knife if there's a chip in their end mill, because there will be a streak, and that would piss me off. And if that happened on 100 knives, I would be annoyed. And I can't, like, I know how much time I put into this. I can't imagine paying somebody else to do that. And they would not have the same love and dedication that I have. That being said, if you don't want to build all this like I did, and you want to outsource knives, I'm all for it. Just be very... know it's going to cost a lot of money. Know it's going to cost a lot of time. And it's not going to be exactly what you want. I think Millet is an excellent example of a good company doing good work. But, that being said... I don't know, it all depends on what you're expecting. I don't think we will get into outsourcing knives. I've had some this freaking product, this little knife spacer. It goes in the back of the knife. There's 2 of them, bolts everything together. I had a very well-known knife company, like knife production company, make those for me by the well-known guy of that company. He actually made them on his very fancy lathe, and they were crap. Yes, I want to, but I'm not going to say his name. They were absolute crap. Tolerance was like plus or minus 4 thou, which doesn't work. It was just terrible. Then I got the Tormach lathe because I'm like, this is stupid, I'm going to do it myself. And that's what I do in life. I'm like, this is stupid, I'm going to do it myself. Or I look at it and go, I can do that. I've said that my entire life. So, knife produced by another shop, what advice? I mean, if we did that, of course it would let us get more volume out the door. But that's not what I want. I want to do everything in-house. We're taking more and more processes in-house. Like heat treating is now a new process we're doing in-house. I think we're going to crush it, and we're going to make, like, Eric's on it for heat treat. And now the only thing we're outsourcing is water jet, which I don't want my own water jet machine. So that's pretty awesome. Next question. Any plans on making EDC gadgets, pry bar, bottle opener, carabiner, etc.? They're all done. I mean, they're so common. I don't want to be the guy that comes out with the next carabiner, the guy that comes out with the next pry bar because everybody else is doing it. Yeah, there's money to be made, but... And yes, it would be that $50 product I'm looking for, but that's not what I want right now. High voltage mods. Now that you do your heat treatment in-house, did it take much experimentation to achieve consistency? Bonus question. Do you have any new favorite tools for the Mori, and is there any other bits you want to buy for it? So first question, heat treat in-house, experimentation. Eric has been fully in charge of heat treat. I advise and research and stuff with him. He's doing a great job. We've been through, like, he's probably heat treated 10, 15, 10, something like that blades. And progressively better. The first few, you know, when it comes out of heat treat, it's got, sometimes it's got color on it, sometimes you get black spots at the tip, like it burns or whatever. So I call up my buddy Brad Southard, and I'm like, what are we doing wrong? What do we need to do next time? Wrap it in foil a 3rd time, crimp it. Oh wow, they're coming out much better now. And it's all these little processes. But within probably 4 or 5 batches, Eric was, like, even the first knife that Eric heat treated was great, good. And then by the 4th or 5th batch, they're like on point. And each time it's getting a little bit better, and very soon it's going to be perfect every time. So I'm very happy that we're doing heat treat in-house. We need to flow the process. We got a toaster oven to do the tempering, which is not perfectly controlled. We can change that a little bit, but that saved a lot of time. So you're not cooling down 2,000 degrees to 400 degrees, which takes forever. Now it comes right out of the oven, quench, put in the temper oven, good to go. That saved like 3-4 hours of process time. Bonus question. Favorite tools for the Mori? Everything. The Renishaw probes are nuts. They're awesome. I've got the Renishaw Spindle probe, and because it's a high-speed tool changer and a side mount and all that, it does get off center after a few weeks, which kind of sucks. But as I need to make it standard to, like, every 2 weeks or whatever, check for run out on that tool and keep it in check. I think just all the vibration kind of wiggles it out of place. Whatever. I've heard it's common. Favorite tools. The orange vices are amazing. They are worth all the hype that people talk about. I love them. I have 2. I want 4 more. I think I could fit 5 on that table comfortably, so I want 3 more. I want one for the Tormach, but that seems kind of pointless at the moment since I'm not using the Tormach very much. What else? No. I don't know. Everything. I've got a Sandvik face mill. We face some titanium handles. They look perfect. What else do I want to get for it? I want to get through Spindle coolant. I don't really need it. I just think it'd be cool, but it's like $7,000 to spend on something that's cool and I don't need, so I'm not going to get it. Chip conveyor was a genius idea, even though we're not pumping out a ton of chips yet. When we do, super easy. I don't know. That's good enough for now. Colin B, what was the one major learning curve you would say contributed to the success of your business and or product? Major learning curve. How to run a business. How to not go broke. How to... I'm so lucky that I have an understanding wife. so lucky. Most women would have left me a long time ago. I mean, I'm a good guy, but I don't know. I take forever to do things. I took years of failed businesses before I found this, and now we're successful. I mean, it still took us like 3 years to turn a profit, or at least to be able to pay ourselves consistently of making knives, and that means recently is when that happened. Major learning curve contributed to the success. YouTube, man. I don't know how I did it, but like I said, once I turned that camera around, is when things started to turn around for me. Knife Making Tuesdays, a weekly segment, is a very good thing to do. It's a story. People love stories. They love to follow the process. That's how I grew my customer base. And I did something weird, like CNC machine knives were not a thing 4 years ago. RJ Martin did it, but then he grinds out the bevels. And then Brian Ty did it. He actually taught me how to do it. And he does it kind of different anyway, so I'm not making something that looks just like his. But nobody else did it. It was not a thing back then. Now it's a thing, and I don't want to take full credit for it, but I'm going to take full credit for it. I popularized it, and I took a ton of flack in the beginning for it. Even still, but it doesn't bother me anymore. You're not a knife maker if you don't hand grind a knife, if you don't forge it like a blacksmith. I don't care, because this is how I want to run my business. This is how I want to make my product. People call it not a knife. It's a knife, even though it was made by a machine and then hand finished by a human. The human planned it all out. That's technology for you. Major learning curve, CAD CAM. I mean, like I said, it's easier nowadays. I was on SolidWorks. Took me years to learn. I've been on SolidWorks for 10 years. I'm good at it now. But if you can increase that process from 10 years down to 6 months, you're cracking. And Fusion 360 does that. I don't want to sound like a shill for Fusion 360 because I'm not sponsored by Fusion 360. I did get a bit of a handout for HSM Works, I will admit that. So I had HSM Works for SolidWorks. But Fusion 360 at $300, I'm like, yeah, I'll buy that. So I bought it. So I'm not, it's kind of nice to not be held down kind of by a sponsorship thing for Fusion 360. I feel entitled. Like, I bought it so I can do whatever the heck I want. And now I'm a customer of Autodesk, and it's great, and they're awesome. So, know that. Tragic Hero. Looks like we're about 30% through the questions. Holy crap. What are we at? We're at an hour. Holy crow. I should think about making this a two-parter soon here. When will the next Norseman order be, and what are the biggest challenges you've made from Norseman number 1 to 500? Biggest changes, improvements. Like your bearing system is an obvious one, but what else have you changed? Next Norseman order, once we get Rasks, like all these pre-order Rasks out the door, we will probably take a Norseman pre-order. It's going to go crazy, so I don't know how I'm going to tackle it yet. Biggest changes, improvements to the knives, nothing major. I mean, if you put knife number 1 next to knife number 509, oh, that feels good to sit up. Oh, there's a dog behind me. Knife number 1, knife number 509. They're the same knife. Tons of minor improvements. You see the pivots are different, the lock bar cutout is different, the clip engraving is different. But I mean, from a few inches away, yeah, they got different options, but they're the same knife. Hundreds of minor improvements. Nothing major. I don't know. Nothing incredibly major. Tons of minor stuff. And all put together makes some major improvements. Nick Woodhead, I've asked you previously, but would love to hear you explain it. Would you think about making spinny tops like Billet Spin? Knife guys love spinning tops. I love spinning tops. I have the Lambda from Prometheus Lights. I think it's fantastic. I have easily gotten a 14-minute spin from that sucker, which is awesome. Would I make them? I kind of want to, but I don't think I need to, and I don't think I should. Because I think there's enough profit and busyness in making our knives that we do not need to stress with making another product that we're not familiar with. Hence why I haven't made anything else. We've had the Norseman for 500 knives for like 4 years. So, yeah. I've thought about tops. Last week I looked into it heavily. I spent like 3 hours researching it. In the end, I'm like, I want to, I'm not going to do it. He also asks, have you got any complex machining planned with the new baby, the Mori? Yeah, I want to get as complicated as I can. Like I did one knife here that is completely smooth. I did it at like a 3/1000 step over with a quarter inch end mill. It took an hour for a pair of handles, which is a long time for one thing. Like just for the pattern. That's cool. That's very cool. I want to get more intricate, more design-oriented stuff done. So yeah, I want to get complicated. I love micro machining. I don't know why, but I've got a loop here somewhere. There it is. That I love looking at stuff close and seeing how accurate it is. It's great. Moritz? What's your top tip for a beginning knife maker? Learn. Ask. Go to a knife show. Blade show is crazy. You will love it there. I don't care how you get there. If you're 16 and you have to ask your parents to take you, ask your parents to take you. Because you will learn more in that weekend than you will in a month or 6 months of looking on Instagram. And being able to see things and feel things and find what you like about everybody else's products will allow you to formulate your own product. And asking people how to do stuff. Figure out how... Beginning knife maker doesn't exactly mean business oriented. If you just want to make knives, that's cool. You learn whatever you want and make whatever you want. If you want to grow a business from it, you gotta have customers. I mean, without customers, you have no business. So, social is the way to do that nowadays. I've seen guys go from nothing to famous on Instagram in like 6 months. And follow people on Instagram and figure out what they did. You know? If you want to gain followers. But be authentic to yourself and show your story. That's kind of my advice. DMI says, what did you do before you started making knives? This is a big one. So how about we end with this one for this video. I'll answer this one and then I'll move on to the next one. Maybe I'll do it next. Maybe we'll stop for lunch or something. Before I started making knives is a loaded question. I'll give you a quick story time. Okay. Let's say my entrepreneurial venture started when I was 15 years old. I want to get through this quick, but I worked for, like, the only job I've ever had. I worked for 1 month for a company called Golfwits. They wanted to put, like, golf courses on PDAs, the, like, predecessor to the handheld device. So I went there and I would do kind of data entry stuff. I was laid off after a month, along with a bunch of other people, and then used the money, bought some suspension forks for my mountain bike, and had a good summer. After that, I worked for my dad. We did website design. He was into programming, so we did kind of computer nerdy stuff. I like the detail-oriented stuff. Like, I would zoom in pictures and do corner-rounded stuff and do pixel by pixel, make it perfect. And that's where my eye for detail started to show through. Like, it's always been there, and I can think back to when I'm 11 and realize that it was still there. But yeah, that's where the details started to come through. And I thought I was a computer nerd, but over years of doing that, I realized how much I hated it. We did that. My dad and I traded Forex, currency exchange, for a while. We had some great ideas. Nothing ever really came of it. We made some money, but you know, we were really big into it for a while. What else? Met my wife. Eventually moved started my own web design company called Troll Media, like I said. I don't know why I felt the need to be separate from my dad. I just wanted to be my own person, I guess. I love my dad, and I guess I wanted to work on my own projects, not on his projects, and I wanted to do it my way. That kind of crashed and burned. I had like 2 or 3 customers, and I did okay, but I don't know. It was not my business. And that was at the time when like Flash was coming out, and it was the big old thing, and websites were all made in Flash, and I was being outpaced by technology, and I tried to learn it, but I didn't want to. So that didn't work out. Then I got into I was already into cars. But, so I was into modifying old Volvos, make them cooler, faster. This is a whole story in and of itself. What's up, Eric? Say hi to the camera for us.
Hi, camera.
He's shy. Volvos.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we were pretty big into Volvos. Me more than you. I dragged you into it.
Definitely.
But I wanted to make money making Volvo stuff because I'm like, hey, this is cool. I'm learning how to fabricate. I got a cheap flux core MIG welder. And like an angle grinder and a chop saw. And that's everything you need to work on cars, basically, plus your assortment of hand tools. So I was making exhaust systems and strut braces and shifters and stuff like that. And I'm like, I can make a business from this. Yeah. That is when the company Craving Boost was born. And if you've ever paid me money on my PayPal, you see the name Craving Boost. That's from there. So I wanted to do that. I made like spark plug wires and stuff like that. So I mean, aside from a month period when I was 15 years old, I've been self-employed or with my dad for my whole life. I'm 32 now. So yeah, Craving Boost officially started like 2008. But I'd been doing car stuff for about 5 years before that. And then we moved out to Ontario. I finally moved into a house with a garage. And my brain is getting fried. It's been an hour 10 of talking straight to a camera. Anyway, so Craving Boost, I struggled very hard to have my own business and to come up with a cool product, and people who drive old Volvos have no money. That was my biggest problem. I love them because I was into it, and I thought I was into cars. Like, I thought cars were my thing, my ticket, my passion. I realize now my passion was making stuff, was making detail-oriented, like the best that I can possibly do. My passion was learning how to do stuff and then doing it. And that did not jive with a culture of people who worked on their cars themselves and spent no money on it. So that was my problem with that business. So I did that from like 2008 or 6 or whatever to 2010 or so. And it never grew. It was fun, but it was difficult as heck. And my wife was working part-time the whole time throughout this, supporting us because I made no money. I made just enough money to keep the shop afloat, like to buy the next angle grinder that I needed, or to buy a run of water jet strut braces, things like that. I had no money. I just had enough money to float, and it sucked. But that's how businesses start. And I mean, I never made much money until 2011 or something. I think we made $25,000 gross selling this car stuff. It's not a lot of money. And by the end of the year, you have $0. And I paid rent a little bit. Our daughter was born in 2010, so that's when it really started to get real. And it's tough. It was a very tough moment. I don't know what it was in my brain, whether it was, I blame it on my dad, I don't know, but like giving me that entrepreneurial mindset that like you can't work for somebody else, you have to work for yourself. I shouldn't officially blame him because I'm not, but it came from him. He's an entrepreneur. He's worked for himself for like 30 years. So we had a lot in common, so I'm like, that's who I am. And I still agree that's who I am. I'm not going to work for anybody else for the rest of my life. So that period from when we moved to Ontario in 2007 to about 2011 when I found out about knives was a dark period for me. I mean, I would go out into the woods and cry. and sit in the tree and like wonder how I was going to make ends meet. I didn't want my wife, who was pregnant or had our kid already, to keep working part-time. I wanted to support her doing something that I can do myself that I've been doing for years already, and why can't I make a profit at it and pay our freaking bills? It was a dark time. I don't know why, but I stuck with it. I mean, my family's telling me, like my in-laws especially, like, you should get a job, you should go to school, you should become a mechanic, you love cars. And I'm just like, no, it doesn't suit me. That's not for me. I don't know why I stuck with it, but I just couldn't bear the thought of anything else. And I loved working and creating so much. Like, this is the time period when I borrowed $5,000 from my father-in-law, which was a godsend at the time. I had no money. That allowed me to drive to Grizzly, buy the X2 mini mill and the Grizzly lathe, and then convert them to CNC eventually, and learn CNC machining and start making stuff on my own. That was the start of it, 2007. You know, I wrote up a business plan, gave it to him, and he supported me back then, and I paid him back in full. It took like 4 years, but yeah, that was awesome. So 2010, 2011, I started realizing, like, I'm not into cars. I'm not on the forums anymore. I'm not posting. I'm not doing anything. I was pretty big on one of the car forums, Turbo Bricks. I had like 10,000 posts or whatever. I was a known figure on that forum. And then it started to slowly fade away as I became more in the shop, making more stuff, doing more of my own thing. I was less public on the forum because I was less learning and more doing. And I was only learning applicable stuff instead of just learning everything about everything, which is what I spent, the 2000s learning. I should wrap this up. But so as I started to move away from the car stuff, I was like, what on earth could I do? I have all this skill. I have 2 CNC machines that I made myself. I know how to anodize aluminum. I taught myself. How can I use this to my benefit? How can I make some money doing this? So I found out about, like, through anodizing, I knew about anodizing paintball guns, and that seemed like a lucrative business. I make $100, but these would take me like 10 hours, so I'm making $10 an hour or more time, less money. And it was a pain in the butt, and there was no flow, and it was difficult, and I don't know, I might have made $1,000, $2,000 over the course of 6 months or something, which is nothing in a business. So that faded away. June 2011, a guy emailed me and he's like, hey, I've got some knives with aluminum handles. Can you anodize them for me? And his name was Sean Casey. Still a friend. We're not too close anymore. We should be, but we're just busy. He said, yeah, I've seen some of your videos. I see you're a Volvo guy. I'm a Volvo guy. Let me come over, show you some of the knives. And I'm like, knives, cool, yeah. I have carried a pocket knife every day in my pocket since I was 11 years old. And that's the story I think I want to get into. Maybe I'm going to write that down. 11-year-old story. Yeah, I'll tell that in the next segment. But always carried a pocket knife, Swiss Army knife, Spyderco kind of thing. Knives have a deep history for me. He shows me these cool knives. Not like exotic stuff, but like high-end Benchmade, high-end Spyderco. I don't remember. ProTech was one of them. It was an automatic. And he starts telling me about this market. And he's like, guys are charging $400, $500, $600, $1,000 for these knives that you have the capacity to make right now. And I'm like, mind blown. I couldn't sleep all night. Researched the heck out of the knife industry. Went to the forums he told me to go to. At that point, I was like, oh my goodness, this is it. I'm all in. I had known about custom knives, custom watches, and custom flashlights. I'd known about it, but I restricted myself away from it because I'm like, no, I'm a car guy. I'm going to do car stuff. I'm going to focus on this. So, yeah, like, that is how knives started for me. 2011, early summer. Like I said, 2 months later, I'm on a plane to Vegas, go to not the biggest knife show, but it's a decent-sized knife show. Kind of small, I guess, but it's very, very focused. And that was an eye-opener. Talked to people, met Brad Southard, I'd heard the name, didn't know who he was at the time, like when I saw him. But we're really good friends now, and I don't know, that's what I did before knives. I hope that answers that question. I'm going to wrap it up. I need some food. I'm going to pass out here. It's 2 o'clock, past 2 o'clock. I haven't had lunch yet. I am like a third of the way through the questions. This is crazy. You guys asked for it. I'm going to answer it. This is going to be a 3-parter, it looks like, and I'm going to put this up right now. Thank you so much for watching. If you watched the whole thing, if you skipped through it, good for you. I don't care. Hopefully it's interesting stuff. Hopefully it's helpful. My goal is to inspire people to be themselves. I don't know, without getting all airy-fairy about it. I want to impact people's lives. That's why I'm here. Not just to sell knives, not to be a big famous knife maker, not to be not to win awards or any crap like that. I'm here to impact lives and to help others succeed. And if they're taking my designs and running with it and creating successful businesses, they're like the 1% of people that are actually doing that. And I'm like, good for you. Because as much as I share, I know that 99.9% of everybody watching is not going to do crap about it. But that 0.1% makes me proud. We'll cut it there. Stay tuned for part 2. Might do it later. I might do it tomorrow. I don't know. We'll see how my voice holds out. Thank you so much for watching. More to come. We've got an exciting life right now. I love where we're at. And we're growing. Yay. Take care. Bye.